It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to discuss that panel discussion that was held at the Boston BTA meeting. The panel discussion, how will slave labor disrupt the supply chain? Folks, it is great to be back in the studio. These last few days have been pretty tough on me. I got really sick on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was in bed all day Monday, but I'm feeling a lot better now. I did test for the COVID thing, and I'm negative. I did it a couple of different times, so I feel good about that, and I'll get through this. But this discussion on slave labor, you know, everybody knew that Ray was going to address this. Some people thought at the BTA meeting that I was going to disrupt this whole panel. Oh, Ray's going to just disrupt this whole thing. I was thinking to myself, when people told you that I was going to disrupt this whole thing, you should have asked him, well, why? Or how's he going to disrupt it? What would they say? Well, he's been up front on this since day one. He thinks he knows everything. He's wrote all kinds of articles and done all kinds of content on this. So, you know, he's really going to try to put his opinion in it. And then I would have just asked that person this question. Well, if he knows that much stuff, why didn't you, talk to him? Maybe he could have influenced some of the panel. You see how that works, ladies and gentlemen? When the panel discussion was over, there was time for some questions, and I made a comment. I thanked them all for showing up. And I said, I hope it's not the first one. I hope you continue the conversation. There was no reason in the world for me to address anybody on that panel, because Bob Goldberg had a chance to ask the questions that I would ask, and I'm either thinking he didn't know the questions to ask, or they were just going to avoid these realities. And I thought it would be better suited if I shared the questions for this particular panel on a show. And that's what I'm going to do here today. But I will say this to my friends that sell supply and service print equipment. If you want to have a panel discussion regarding the slave labor, regarding the UFLPA Act, and you want to put a panel together at one of your meetings, I'd be more than happy to help you with it. You don't even have to let me be on it. You don't have to let me moderate. I don't care about any of that, but I'll help you with it. I can help you with the construction of it because I think it could be constructed a whole lot different. I just wanted to throw that out there. But ladies and gentlemen, think about this panel that we had. I don't believe they wanted to do this. I believe they did it because they thought they had to. You know, when you have to do something, a lot of times you don't bring your passion and the fire from your belly to the table. But boy, when you want to do something, you bring the fire and the passion from your belly to the table. And the only one of that panel that did that was Tricia Judge. She brought the fire, ladies and gentlemen. She wanted to be there. She's the only one that wanted to be there. You could tell. Some of you all might not have liked what she was saying. But she said it because when Tricia speaks, she speaks the truth, she speaks her mind, and she doesn't start thinking about who's not going to like her. She doesn't start thinking about if she's going to get invited back to the BTA. She just shares her thoughts. She throws it out there. She was passionate about it because she wanted to be there. Nobody else wanted to be there. They were there because they thought they had to be there. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share this slide with you. This is really disturbing to me. So the IBPI has a meeting. They co-locate it with the BTA. So they have their meeting a couple of days before the BTA meeting at the same venue there in Boston. What do? They award Static Control Vendor of the Week. The same week that the BTA is having a meeting at the same damn venue that they're having, talking about slave labor, 9-Star, they're going to promote a 100% subsidiary of 9-Star, a company called Static Control. They couldn't wait a few more weeks. This is poor judgment. This is really outrageous, and I think it's a slap in the face to the good intentions of what the BTA was trying to do with the 9-Star conversation. And I don't really care if the BTA thinks it's a slap in the face or not. I do. And I don't think I'm the only one that felt that way. Something to think about. Let's talk about this panel a little bit, and I want to start with Konica Minolta. Maybe Bob Goldberg didn't know this, but Konica Minolta has a relationship with 9-Star. It was back in August of 28th of 2019. I've shared this slide numerous times. Not only is the agreement with 9-Star and Phantom, okay? This was before 9-Star gobbled up Phantom, right? But they're doing this agreement. They're talking about A3 collaboration, A4 collaboration. Where's this agreement at today? I think that's a fair question that Sam could have answered. If you go to Konica Minolta's website, they're showing these factories in China. Sam says they don't make any A3s in China. He said that on the panel. And I would say, what about these factories in China? What do you make in these factories in China? I mean, it says right here, with the MFP manufacturing sites in China, what MFP manufacturing sites do you have in China, and you're not making A3s in those sites? Ladies and gentlemen, the people on the panel were there because they thought they had to be. They didn't want to be, and the moderator didn't want to really dig into the issues. They wanted to kick the can down the road just a little bit further. And I don't believe that's a good thing. We asked our friends at Sharp, Mike, and look, Mike, I did an episode on this. When they had a shipment at the port from 9-Star, what did they do? They refused it. That's a great thing. That's an honorable thing. But we should have got more details from Mike around that. Mike didn't have to answer, but we could have asked the question. What exactly did you refuse, Mike? Was it toner? Was it hardware? What are the SKUs? What did you refuse? What are you getting from 9-Star? Or were you getting from 9-Star? And how are you substituting that today? Ladies and gentlemen, our industry's got to be able to talk about this in real terms. Now I want to share with you a dream I had, because I believe this dream is a probability of coming true. And when it does, it's going to prove to all of you what I said after the panel when I gave some comments and I thanked them all for showing up. And I said, you know, this is a conversation we need to continue. And then I said this. Our industry doesn't control the narrative on this. Those end users do with their pocketbooks. Let's talk about the end users for a second. I call this a dream with probabilities. I'm going to share some pictures of my dream. But ladies and gentlemen, we forgot about the end users on that panel. Can you imagine if we would have had a city councilman on that panel when he asked the city councilman a question? Hey, you have a Lexmark contract right now, and Lexmark's owners, 9-Star, have been banned by the Department of Homeland Security over the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. You have a 5-year lease that's a non-appropriations lease. You got 4 years left. Would you consider not renewing that lease since your copier owners, 9-Star, are banned by the Department of Homeland Security? Or are you just going to wait for Lexmark themselves to be banned? Would have been a great answer to hear. Maybe it would have slapped the industry in the face a little bit. Holy smokes! Then the leasing companies, there was a leasing question asked, but at the end of the day, I think the leasing companies ought to be concerned about non-appropriations clauses. Because as customers become aware of the outrageousness around slave labor, they might start canceling some leases. They might not start appropriating money. Anybody that has a Phantom contract out there, I don't know how it could possibly be reappropriated for a new year, considering Phantom is one of the banned entities. Something to think about. Here's my dream. Ladies and gentlemen, I was in Lexington, Kentucky, and I saw this church. And I went up to the church and I said, Pastor, I want to talk to your congregation about slave labor. He put me up there and he said, go ahead, Ray, talk to him. There I am. And ladies and gentlemen, I had this slide and I was talking about the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. I was talking about how the Department of Homeland Security banned Lexmark's owners, 9-Star, and 8 subsidiaries bringing products to the U.S. supply chain. The people in the audience were outraged. I was talking about how some of the terrible things the CCP is doing, organ harvesting. The people in the congregation were just outraged by it. They couldn't even believe it. They said, Ray, we got to do something. I said, we got to do something. Let's go do something. What do you want to do? They said, well, it's simple, Ray. Let's load up in the bus. They were hanging this big sign. They whipped that together really quick. Say no to all 9-Star companies. They got all the logos there. You know, 9-Star owners of Lexmark banned by DHS. They're in Lexington, Kentucky. Where do you think they wanted to take that bus? I'll tell you where they took that bus, ladies and gentlemen. They took it to the Lexmark front lawn. They're getting ready to jump out of it. Somebody even knew the guy that had the billboard outside the building, and they quickly put up this billboard right in front of Lexmark. It says Lexmark's not being clear regarding Chinese ownership. You go to their website, it's like I say they're lying to you. Are the Lexmark printers being manufactured through slave labor? I mean, they're just asking the question. But they're asking on a billboard that lights up the night sky. They got their bus with the protest signs getting ready to get all over the lawn. They went over here and they put underneath the Lexmark sign is owned by 9-Star, a PRC company banned by DHS over the UFLPA. They're fired up. They got passion in their belly because they want to be there, because they want to do the right thing. Our industry doesn't control the narrative. The end users do. And we need to get on the right side of this. Because this dream I had, I believe it could become a reality. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.